Hey guys, welcome back. Sorry for being so slow to get fresh content up, but that is just how it is sometimes. Hopefully this will help make up for that. I have something exciting and fun to share with you today. The new Bodyguard 2.0 from Smith Wesson. I recently had the privilege of visiting Smith Wesson at their brand new factory and headquarters in Maryville, Tennessee, and participate in a media event. It was fantastic to meet the great people at Smith & Wesson, as well as some other media folks and YouTube creators, many of whom I've followed for years. So sometimes I felt like I was kind of a fan at a meet and greet event. While we were there, we got to see what the roadmap looks like for some new products on the horizon, tour the state-of-the-art facility, which is extremely impressive, and have some great conversations about all the stuff that we share interests in. One of those was the new Bodyguard 2.0. I had to confess that I was not a fan of the original Bodyguard, and I hoped it had been improved in a meaningful way. I was able to test it out at the range there in Tennessee, and I was really impressed. So that's the backstory here. The rest of this video is just going to be me at the range, doing my testing, and telling you what I think about this new offering, the Bodyguard 2.0. Okay, hitting the range for the very first time with the brand new Bodyguard 2.0 from Smith & Wesson. This is a teeny tiny little gun. If you think the modern micro 9mm are small, this thing is crazy small even compared to them. Now the Bodyguard has been around for a long time, and many years ago, many more years ago than I probably want to confess to, I did a review on the original Bodyguard, back when it had a laser built onto the front, if anybody remembers that. I did not like the gun. It had a lot of problems. I didn't like the trigger, or there was just a lot of things about the gun where, wasn't my favorite. So, I never touched it again. In all these years, I had no interest whatsoever. But I had an opportunity to put my hands on this gun at the range in Tennessee when I was out at Smith & Wesson and shoot it, and I was impressed. So I asked to get a copy that I could review in depth, and this is that copy. So my thanks to the folks at Smith & Wesson for sending this out, and let's get down to it. First of all, it is certainly a gun that would be categorized as a pocket-sized gun, and it does pass the litmus test with the DeSantis holster. Now, it not only passes the test, this thing goes pretty deep down in here, so you could actually get a smaller holster than this and carry this in your pocket. If you're going to carry it inside the waistband, it would be awful comfy. This is the jogging gun, or, for the smaller build ladies who want to wear summer clothing, or even for the guys that want to wear those, shorts. Now, I am not condoning Speedos, okay? I'm not condoning Speedos, but if you were wearing a Speedo, you could probably almost conceal this gun in it. Okay, I'm trying to train my fingers into itty-bitty mode here for all the controls that are on the gun. Gun comes with 2 magazines, depending on compliance in the state you live in. This is a 10-round magazine, and this is a 12-round extended magazine. So I've got them both filled, and I am shooting Ammo Incorporated 380 ball. I love this ammo. I don't have any affiliation or anything like that, but I love Ammo Incorporated. It is 100 grain, and I don't know if it publishes. Oh, no wonder I like them. They're in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm going to put them on my list of people to visit next time I'm out that way. Right now, somebody at Ammo Incorporated is sending a note to their security team. You see this guy right here? Pretend we're closed. Okay, here we go. Muzzle velocity, 800 feet per second. Muzzle energy, 176 foot-pounds. Because I'm going to shoot at least my first 100 rounds, maybe more, is going to be this ammo. And then I may switch it up and maybe do some comparisons with some other ammo, and certainly some self-defense ammo. Now this gun does have the manual safety on it. It comes with or without the manual safety. That is a choice.
they offered it to me with the safety, and I said, yes, that would be just fine, because that way I can demonstrate to you the safety and I can give you my opinion about it. Quick public service announcement. If you don't like public service announcements about gun safety, or you think you know it all, you can go ahead and scan forward. But otherwise, I do want to talk about something safety related here for just a moment. A gun this small with a manual safety, and the safety is very, very tiny on this. And the safety is also very difficult to engage. In other words, to turn on or put it on safe with your, like you can't swipe it up with the side of your thumb. I can't. It's really well textured. I'll show you that in a close-up. But it's just a tight control, and maybe it'll break in a little bit with time, but still, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. What a lot of people will tend to do, now I am in an outdoor range, I am by myself, I've got berms on 3 sides. So when I do this to demonstrate how not to do it, I'm doing it safely. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate with an unloaded gun, empty, okay? I'm going to demonstrate how you don't do it. This is how not to do it. So if you're trying to put the safety on a small gun like this and you're just having trouble, you can't swipe the safety on with your thumb. A lot of people by instinct will do this, and they'll try to get their thumb straight onto the safety and push it up. Well, that'll work as far as getting the safety on, but here's the big problem. You see where the gun's pointed? It's not pointed down range. It's pointed that way. Now, I may not even know what is in that direction. Could be, if I'm at the range with other people, I could be pointing it straight at some other person. If I'm in my house and I'm loading the gun so that I can put it in my holster and go out for the day, I might be pointed at a wall, but who knows who's on the other side of that wall. So you get my point, right? This is not a safe practice. So when you have a small gun like this and you need to engage the safety, and it's difficult to just swipe it up easily with your thumb, there's a couple ways to handle that. First rule, get used to doing this. With any kind of administrative handling of your gun, turn your body, not the gun. So keeping the gun pointed safely down range at the berm, right? I bring it in close to me and I turn my body, not the gun. So now I still have that same scenario, right? I've got all my strength of my thumb pushing straight into the control, but the gun is pointed in a safe direction, okay? That's pretty easy, but it's not intuitive. That's something you're gonna have to mentally practice. Now there is another way. If you don't want to turn your body, if for some reason you don't feel like it's safe for you to turn your body, or you're just uncomfortable turning your body, there's another way to do that, and that is keep the gun pointed down range. Again, bring it in fairly close, you know, like elbow distance. Turn the gun flat, you know, gangster style, if you will, right? And now, if it's got an ambidextrous safety, like this gun does, that safety's pointed straight up. If it doesn't have an ambidextrous safety, turn it the other way so that the safety is pointed straight up and the muzzle's still pointed straight down range. Now take your thumb and just slide it that way, okay? You have the strength, you're pushing down, you probably even have more strength this way than you do the other way, and you're able to engage the safety safely, nobody gets flagged, everybody has a good day. All right, end of my public service announcement about safeties. Now, while I do have the safety engaged for that demonstration, I'm going to try something that does interest me when I'm testing and reviewing a gun, and that is, can I charge the gun with the safety on? So I was able to run the slide back and lock it with the safety engaged, which is good. Now I've inserted the magazine. Let's also see if the slide stop, slide release is both and can release the slide. It's going to be a little tight. No, not quite. All right. So I was able to load the gun and chamber around with the safety on, and that is a big plus. Okay, now after all that yakking, let's shoot this gun. Now as far as taking the safety off with the thumb, that's pretty easy to do. First shot was pretty low. All right, that's more like it, so that might have been me. So right off the bat, let me talk about the sights. The front sight is orange. It's kind of a dull orange, almost like a pumpkin orange, but it is a tritium insert. So it is a night sight. The rear sight is blacked out and serrated, but the notch is wide. Like, I'm not criticizing, I'm just telling you, you could drive a truck through the rear notch. But that is not necessarily a bad thing for a self-defense gun. You're not trying for precision, really. You just want to get your sights on target quick. Okay. Haven't talked about the trigger yet. Let's go a little bit more and then I'll talk about that. Okay, now the 12 rounder. While I still get my bearing on the sights here, let me try a couple more challenging targets. With a center hold. Ah, good. I wasn't sure if the 380 was going to flip that target around. All right, back to the middle target. I believe it's liking a center hold, but at some point here I'm going to break out some paper just so we can really kind of evaluate that. We're into August now. I'm in the mid-Atlantic, which is well known for heat and humidity this time of year, and the humidity is kicking. So my hands are already sweaty, like almost dripping sweaty. And the grip is doing a nice job on the gun of, you know, keeping it where I need it in my hand. The texture is good. It's not as aggressive as the M&Ps. It's not even as aggressive, I think, as the Shield, but it is pretty decent. It's doing a good job. And one could always, and I almost certainly will, put a Talon grip on it. I like the rubberized Talon grips because they're not real abrasive, especially for something you might carry against your skin, you know, or even under a shirt where it might snag. I like the rubberized Talon grips. There's also some really nice texture right here where my index finger, the pad of my index finger is. So that's a great index point for having your finger where it should be when it's not in the trigger guard. It's also a nice place on the opposing side for your forward thumb. So it's a good index point so you know where you are, and it's also a good point to just sort of have some texture to keep you there. The serrations on the slide are very aggressive for a tiny little gun like this. Huge improvement over before. It's just a sort of abbreviated ear tabs, you know, on the back, like the M&Ps have now. Much more abbreviated, but it is still there. But the texture is really good. I don't have any trouble getting a grip on it, even in the heat with sweaty hands, and that's important because in a crisis situation, and you got to manipulate this slide, there could be a lot of things that are making your hands wet and slippery, not just sweat. Very easy to lock the slide back, insert the round, and no, it's still not gonna let me drop the slide with that control. Not yet. Okay, back at it. I'm gonna keep trying for those round plates. Try the other one. There we go. So it was putting that group a little bit left, but pretty consistent. So that's good. It actually made a nice little group on that one plate to the left. So when I held to the right, it kind of compensated a little bit. It's a dovetail mount rear sight, and I'm sure you could drift that a little bit to get that zeroed in. So the recoil impulse is pretty mild. It is 380, of course, but it's a gun that's sized for 380. It's very, very small, very, very light. So given that, recoil impulse is pretty nice. Muzzle stays pretty flat, sight comes right back on target real quick, and allows you to get off those rapid fire shots. All right, with these 6 rounds, I will be at 50, the first 50. So at that point, I think I'm going to take a break and set up a paper target and get a feel for a couple things. Number one, where it's putting the rounds versus where the sights are. And number two, just how generally accurate is it? How nice a group can I make? And I'm probably going to also break out a couple different kinds of ammo and do some tests there. But here are the last 6 of the first 50. If that means anything. And let's go self-defense style one-hand shooting. Man, this is a small gun. The trigger guard is actually pretty generously sized for a gun this small, but it does take me a second to get my finger out of the trigger guard. Magazine release is really nice. It's a tiny button, but it's got great texture on it, and it presses in easily, and as you see, drops the magazine free and clear every single time so far. Okay, I've got a cardboard target downrange at 13 yards, my standard distance, just because. That target has 3 orange dots on it. I got 3 different types of ammo here I'm going to put into those dots if I can, or as close to them as I can get. The first is going to be ammo incorporated. That's the stuff I've been shooting 50 rounds of so far. I'm going to shoot 5 rounds each. And I just want to get a feel right now for where the sights are, what size the group is. I'm going to do my best to hold my point of aim exactly in the same spot and not compensate when I see a flyer or something. Secondary to that, we'll see if one of these loads is maybe inherently more accurate than the other. Okay, starting up top, again with the ammo incorporated. Now I'm going to use a very tight 6 o'clock hold. I don't know, some hits and some misses. Can't really see them from back here. Okay, on to Fiocchi, and this is, I can tell you later, but this is 95 grain Fiocchi. This is all ball ammo right now. Okay, going to the middle one. Okay, I've got a little bit of a failure here, and I think I saw the ejection out of the corner of my eye. So this could be a feeding issue. Let me just double check. Yep. Yeah, it was a feeding. So the 5th round didn't feed properly. Put that back in. Try it again. Okay, no problems. All right, there are the Fiocchis. All right, now 5 rounds of Lawman, Spear Lawman, also 95 grain. So the Lawman and the Fiocchi are both 95 grain. The ammo incorporated is a 100 grain. Going for the bottom dot. All right, I can even tell from here, those don't look very impressive at all. Now you can tell I'm not from Turkey. Okay, Target Medic has come and fixed up my target downrange, so I got fresh 3 dots. Unfortunately, I only had to replace one of the dots, and it was only because it had 1 hole in it, so not patting myself on the back. But I've pasted up all my other holes, no distractions, and we'll be able to see where these go. So this is going to be 3 different loads of hollow point self-defense ammo, starting with Hornady Critical Defense. 5 rounds each, just like before. Starting at the top. Okay, there are those 5. And you can see that I'm still tending to go left, and I think that has been so consistent that I'm thinking that's probably where the sights are, so I might want to drift this rear sight. Next up, Remington Golden Saber. 5 rounds of Remington Golden Saber into the middle dot, he hopes. Okay, so we know we're going right. I'm not so concerned about the location of the group. I'm more interested in the size of the group. That's the important thing. And now last but not least, probably, Federal HST to the bottom dot. My excuse today, in part, is the salty sting of sweat in my eyes. So about 100 rounds in so far today at the range. When I finish this last box of ammo incorporated, I'll be over 150 somewhere, like maybe 160, 170. That's certainly not an exhaustive test by any means, and I will get this thing back out. I've probably got some comparing I need to do. So at the range today, so far, I'm not done yet, but so far I've had only one slight malfunction, and that was that one round that didn't go all the way home. And that was when I changed ammo. What did I change it to? I changed it to, I don't know, I'll get back to you on that. So let me finish up this shooting and talk to you about what I'm feeling while I'm doing it. So I talked about the sights. I think they could use adjustment, and I will probably try to do that before I bring it out again. You could drive a Mack truck through this rear notch, and I think that's okay. Because for a self-defense gun, you want fast acquisition. And with a tiny gun like this, and consequently tiny sights, I think that helps. So I haven't talked about the trigger yet. And I've shot it a couple different ways today. I've shot it with the pad of my finger as I normally shoot, which is a little awkward on a tiny gun like this because then you're way out here like that. You gotta have a hooked finger. And then I've shot it with that first knuckle. And that is, I think, more appropriate for a gun like this, to shoot it with this type of finger placement. Just grab that, just hook your first knuckle around that trigger, and I think that's where you want to be. First of all, that is the strongest. That is the most strength you're going to have in a trigger pull. And it also gives you really good control. It gives you good straight back trigger pull. And for me, and again, medium-sized hands here, that fits my hand the best. It makes it the most comfortable way to shoot. Trying to shoot it like this felt awkward, and I was probably milking the gun back and forth a lot. But with this, definitely more of a straight pull. So that's how I was shooting it. And based on that, my feeling about the trigger is that it is exceptionally good compared to the original Bodyguard. And it is very good compared to today's standards and what I would expect from a new gun today. So it's very crisp. It's certainly not light, but it's probably right in the 5-pound range. I'll put a gauge on it. The trigger safety, that center trigger safety, is kind of non-existent as far as your tactile considerations. You don't really feel it or notice it. It's interestingly shaped. Yeah, if you turn the gun upside down, the trigger really looks to me like a bird of prey, you know, like almost like an eagle looking up and you know, with its mouth open. And I know, I know what that looks like. I'll throw a picture up here of just exactly what that does look like. But it's a nice crisp trigger, which is far more important to me than the weight of the pull. So it's crisp and it's smooth. I'm not noticing any kind of catch points. There's no grit as I pull it back to the break point. When you hit the wall, it is a nice clean snap, like breaking a strand of raw spaghetti. It's really crisp. And the reset is extremely good. Now, if I remember correctly, and it's been a long, long time, but if I remember correctly, one of the things I didn't like at all about the initial Bodyguard was there was virtually no feel to the trigger at all. Like, there was no reset. You didn't know where you were. Not the case here. This one has a really tactile trigger with lots of good feedback. The reset is very positive. You could feel it and I can hear it. You probably can hear it. And there's no false reset anywhere. Nice clean stroke all the way out to the reset and then snap. You know you're there. So for a tiny self-defense gun like this, I'm really liking the trigger. I think this is a really nice trigger. Liking the slide serrations. I'm liking really everything. I'm not, you know, I wish I could drop the slide with the slide stop, slide release. Okay, before you guys start typing in the comments, it is a slide stop, not a slide release. Yes, yeah, I know that. I don't really care. To me, it needs to drop the slide. And I'm sure it may eventually, after some break-in, but I like to be able to drop the slide that way. There could be times, you know, when you've got just this one hand to work with. So it's important to be able to do that. Let's give it one more try. No, maybe if there we go. So there is hope that it may eventually start to wear in a little bit. So yeah, the sights are good. That front sight is not as bright as I would like. I would prefer a yellow or a green to the orange, but it is certainly effective. It's getting the job done. Okay, wrapping it up at the range. When I finish these 2 magazines, I will be just shy of 200 rounds through the new Bodyguard 2.0, and I'm liking it. Liking it a whole bunch.
Hey, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. You can really help me keep content flowing by simply hitting like and being a subscriber. I'm on Patreon too, if you want to support me that way. Look down in the description of this video and you'll see several discount codes and affiliate links. You can save significant money on products that I use and highly recommend, and some of those purchases will help me out, which is really appreciated. And if you think this video was especially helpful to you, or you just want to say thanks, YouTube has a button for that down below. It's called YouTube Thanks. It's sort of like leaving a tip if you think you got good service. Once again, I want to thank the folks at Smith Wesson for the look at that fantastic new facility, the wonderful hospitality and company, and for getting the Bodyguard 2.0 out so I could do this review. This is just an opinion. Thanks for watching.